I think that there is also a lot of wavering. While I know that there is public support for repeal, and huge public support, I think that there is also a lot of wavering going on. People saying, oh, I'm not entirely sure, I don't really know what's coming next, I want to see everything written down, and so on and so forth. And I think one of the big jobs we have to do is to say to people, we need to remove this from the Constitution. After that, there will be legislation, and no doubt we get all kinds of shapes and forms of legislation being discussed in the Joint Committee. But we need, first and foremost, to say to people and to convince them and persuade them that the Constitution is no place to be regulating women's pregnancies. That is not the job of a Constitution, and that impediment needs to be removed. And I think we're going to have a lot of argument and debate and conversation about that. And I think that all of us who are part of this movement need to stand absolutely firm that it needs to be repealed. And I completely agree with what the other speakers have said. I think that was something you said, Philomena. It has to be taken out of the Constitution outright. Let's not have some kind of watered down thing put in there which gives sort of protection to no, because we still end up with a conflict of interest between a woman and the fetus. And that should never be a conflict. That should never be a conflict. Women, when women are pregnant, it doesn't feel like a conflict. It just feels because life is messy, that there are decisions that are difficult to make but that have to be made one way or another. So I think we have to say that. I think we have to be very clear that there is no place in our humanity and decency for any criminalisation of abortion. That, backstreet abortions and abortions which are against the law should be treated in the ordinary criminal law. That there is no way that people who assist in legal abortions or carry out legal abortions or women who have them should be criminalised. And the third point that is really important is the citizens did speak. They were asked to speak to the citizens. And they came up with a set of recommendations that's extremely practical and sensible, and that actually responds to women's needs. Because I think there is a kind of mindset in government which is something like, how little abortion do you think we can get away with? How little will we have to give? Or how much abortion are we going to have? Wrong question. Right question. What do women need to be healthy? What do women need to be safe? What do women need to have their rights respected? Those are the right questions. And I think we know that. So we need to turn that around. And we need to say that to people. Well, what do you think should really happen there? Is that the right way to be going about it? Or should we not be starting off with these very basic questions to ourselves as people? I have 2 minutes, yeah. I know, I'll get to it in 2 minutes. And I think that to do that, we are now in the coalition, and I think it's in all of our organisations, very firmly, as you are, centred on the voters. We spent several years talking to ourselves. We will continue talking to the politicians because we never take our eye off them for 1 single second. So we will be following the Joint Committee and the debate, of course, in the Dáil. But a major part of our attention now, and this is where all of you come in, is what we are saying to people in our everyday lives and on the doorsteps and on social media. And I think, because I do think there is going to be a challenge for us to convince and to win over people, not just to say, oh yes, I want to repeal, but to get them to go out and vote for repeal of the 8th Amendment. It's not enough to have a vague thought. They need to be convinced, and they need to feel determined that they will get out there and vote, and that they will bring their families and their colleagues and their friends to come out and vote too. And I think that's where we're going to have to put a lot of work in. And that means a lot of canvassing with a lot of very good messages and a lot of good social media work. Social media is really important, but actually I think that we will win this referendum on the ground, because it really is by talking to people. But when I say talking to people, I'm not sure I really mean that actually. I think a lot of the time I mean listening to people. And I tend to say something like, I say, I'm up for repeal, what about yourself now? And they look at me as if I am really a bit too. But actually, what that's doing, it's a way of saying to somebody, look, I have a point of view, but I'm interested to hear yours. What are you thinking about this? And then you hear people's reservations, you hear their fears, you hear their worries. And a lot of the time, those are fears and reservations and worries that we can have a conversation about. They're not impossible things, they're not dreadful things. Most people in this country do not believe that abortion is murder. That is the reality. They don't when we press them. We don't even have to press them. They're worried that they're worried that we'll lose the run of ourselves and go overboard, and that every woman who becomes pregnant will go to the UK or not, or she'll end up in the hospitals in Hollis Street and the Thunder. If you look at our abortion figures since before 1983 and now, actually, very interestingly, the rate is much the same. And I think that's probably also true for the numbers who can't access abortion. So, these are fears that can be allayed, I think, really quite smartly. But you can't get rid of those fears unless you're putting the ear out there in the first place. So it isn't really for us to be going out saying, this is what has to happen, you must do this, you must do that. It's rather, if we are to win a referendum to repeal the 8th Amendment, talk to me about what you're thinking. Tell me what your views are. Let's talk about that. It's difficult maybe on doorsteps on a wet November night when you're in the rain and they're sort of sheltering inside the hallway. Nonetheless, that is exactly the kind of conversation that we need to be having. And in the coalition, we will be sending round, with the help of our research partners like USI and, Amnesty actually in this particular case, the National Women's Council and the Abortion Rights Campaign and the IFPA, we're doing research and we're working on developing good, sensible messages that people will actually listen to. And I think what a lot of us have been saying, I noticed on this very successful petition recently, it's time to repeal the 8th Amendment, which is absolutely right, and I think we will do it. And the other one is, it's time, and it's time to put women's lives, health and safety first. And you don't have to say very much more than that. So we would do our very best to support all our local and regional groups. You're a local group here in Dundee, I know you're practically a city, but basically you're a local group and we will be supporting you absolutely as best we can. Go to our website, if you need anything, let us know. But unified, working together in solidarity, across party, across absolutely everything. I think that's it's actually an amazing thing about fighting a referendum. You get out there on the canvas, and there's all sorts that you never meet in your ordinary life, and you say, oh, well, I know she was pointing at me. But that really is what it's about. It's that unity, and that solidarity, and that sticking at it, and keeping on the doorsteps until we win, and we will win. Thank you very much.
Thanks a million, Ailbhe. Now, just one question. If somebody who's near a window might say, open it a little bit. I see everybody kind of waving sheets, and we're getting very hot up here. Thanks a million. I know many of you may have left your names as you came in, but some of you may not have. If you would like to stay in touch with the Repeal 8 group in Dundee, I'll send this around now, and people can leave their names. As I said at the beginning of the meeting, some people have only come in later. I'm going to open this up now. I mean, we've heard very compelling arguments for why we should repeal the 8, but maybe some people still have questions, and people really do feel free to ask whatever questions you have, and I think all of our panel will be happy to answer them. But also if people have ideas about how we might campaign, how we might put some of these words into action, how we might get on the doorsteps on rainy November evenings, if it has to be that, and how we might build up a momentum around this. You'll all see on your chairs time to act leaflet for the March on September the 30th, so maybe some ideas about how we could build towards that. And just quickly before I open up to you, since we have been joined by a few political representatives in the area, Deirdre Kingston from the Labour Party has joined us, Richard Boyd